So if you had to define the best thing about the Spanish National Police and the worst, what would those two things be?
The worst? The commissioners. Without a doubt, the commissioners are politicians. They're from one side or the other. They're politicians. I'll give you an example. I was entering Madrid. A senior chief was leaving, another arriving, and I was with the outgoing senior chief and the chief of staff. He was my friend then, and the bad one freed the others. You know what? His first question was, what's my monthly reserved funds allocation? But then...
Is that?
Money that he gives without justification, the reserved funds? It's something very important in police work, in information, in intelligence. It's a part of the general state budget that has no oversight. That is, if I have to pay an informant or I have to pay for things that I don't want to be recorded in the administration, I pay for them with reserved funds. What's going on? Did he create the law and find the loophole? What are the reserved funds used for? For prostitutes, strips, cocaine, partying, and similar things. So, what happens? Well, the incoming chief said, what is my allocation of reserved funds? The first thing, you take on an important position, which is a senior chief in Madrid, which is the most important headquarters in Spain. And you ask that? The first thing you do is ask that. You can't ask what my office is. I don't know how many people I have in my secretariat. I don't know when the senior chief is available to discuss the change of responsibilities for the manetin, whatever. You first ask how much money you'll take home under the table each month. I don't know. I don't think that's honest. That's it.
It's at least somewhat dishonest.
And the good thing about the national police, the professionals, the national police, is that they're about 20% for me.
Where do you get that 20% from? Why do you say 20% instead of 60?
40, 30, 10 I say 20% instead of 15 because of the rest of society. The national police reflects society wherever you look. If you start looking at all the people you know, how many would you say are good people, honest, hardworking, and professional? I've already taken away about 80%.
Pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. The majority, around 60%. They do whatever they're told, wear a mask, they do it, limp along, they do it. About 20% are troublemakers. Think about the people you know. One's dealing with something, another with something else, and then there's that scam. Either more or less crime. The good thing about the national police is the professionals who work hard and avoid illegal activities. I have friends who are chief inspectors, who should be commissioners based on merit, ability, and seniority, which is what the law says. It's very hard for them to become commissioner since they're not in the inner circle and don't owe anyone favors. And they're not red, blue, green, or purple. They're professionals. Isn't that what a police officer should be?
I have a question for you. Earlier you said there are subgroups within the national police. Are there...
Families and...
That each political party has its own group within the police. I mean, the Partido Socialista Obrero Español has its own little group inside. Los Verdes, you said as well. Los Azules, you said as well. How does that develop, and what does it feel like as a force member?
Well, that's it. For example, I've met people from all walks of life, and it's like everything. There are good and bad people. I had a boss who was very close to the Popular Party, and he was a good guy and a professional. I knew someone from the Partido Socialista Obrero Español who was a good and professional guy. But here we go again with the same old thing. Police officers have to leave their ideology at home. I have to treat a stray dog, a black person, a white person, a gay person, a street performer, all the same way. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter what they do with their life, as long as they're legally, you know what I mean?
Following the law, of course.
So following the law doesn't matter then? So what can't happen is that corruption is intrinsically linked to the police. Let me explain. When a new government comes in, the entire police leadership is replaced. Why do you put a police officer who's on your side? Because he'll keep quiet? You really think Abalos' bodyguards were unaware? I mention Abalos just like I could mention someone from the Partido Popular. It's the same to me, you know? And I say Abalos just like I could say...
Me, Partido Popular. They've never found anything as obvious as watch out stuff, prostitutes, things like that. At least they've been more discreet, right?
There are things I can't tell you.
At least it hasn't leaked like that.
I'll tell you off camera, but there are some intense things in Spain. And I can tell you, discussing the Trojanization of the administration of justice and a 36 million euro contract. Okay, and there are prosecutors, and there were setups and all sorts of things that happened in the past. Okay, this isn't recent, it's from the past, and there's a whole history behind it. So I'm telling you, there are some mind-blowing cases of corruption.
Yeah, the whole system in general.
Mind-blowing. Still, many cops just stay quiet. Here's another example, not being corrupt. My boss, now the General Commissioner of Immigration, was formerly head of the intelligence section of the General Commission of Immigration. An expert in police immigration intelligence, he knew where illegal immigrants came from and where they didn't. How is it done? Are there informants? He knows more at the source than I do. He's now the Chief Commissioner of Immigration. Why not resign? So, you think your work is worthless? Why doesn't he resign from the position? They'll move you because you'll lose 10,000 in yearly bonuses. Honestly, Jota doesn't matter to me. 10,000 euros in bonuses per year. My dignity is worth more than that, because if I'm working, I wouldn't just quit for nothing. But here, nobody resigns.
No.
Nobody resigns in.
In Spain, Dimitir is a Russian name.
So as a police officer, you're just doing your job, right? I don't care about the information or public safety. And you don't resign, knowing the insecurity we have, knowing the invasion we're suffering, and you don't resign. And you don't go to the minister and tell him, I resign from my position. For 10,000, for 12,000 euros, Jota, I don't know. There wasn't even anything more than that.
But then, political parties, once they win an election, renew the entire leadership of the national police, and
they put in people loyal to them. That is to say, and
these people retire with full honors.
They don't put them in other positions. They put them in what's called the elephant graveyard. These are positions that have no operational relevance and come with lower compensation. They retain their professional category but get fewer benefits and lower pay. Let me tell you about another resignation case. I was in an interior category abroad, in Europe. The interior category is, let's say, the Ministry of Interior's delegation in the embassies. I was making a lot of money. I was earning 7,000 bucks a month, and I spoke up because a police officer had done a job. An extraordinary job. A basic scale. Second category police officer. All right? And I said that police officer needs to be compensated. He wasn't awarded the Police Valor Medal with red devices. What does Jota say about resigning? When I returned to Madrid, I asked, who else has done this? They replied, no one.
But did you resign because they didn't give you the A medal?
Someone who deserved it because he worked with me or was my subordinate, and I said, you did this, you deserve this. What?
Did he do to earn the medal?
That's an operational matter. I can't talk about that, okay? Because it's an operational issue.
Okay.
But he did police work. Commendable, commendable. Because of his knowledge as an engineer, it was a technical job. Commendable. And I talked to my supervisor and said, that guy has to have this. I don't want anything, but that guy has to have this. And a man is worth as much as his word, Jota. They told me, we're not giving him this. I said, fine. I quit. I went to Human Resources in Madrid and asked, how many people have done that? No one. So, what do you want me to say, Jota? I like money, just like everyone else.